Okay, welcome back to Boruto Anime Review, episode number 168. This I'm viewing the 168th episode of the series, The Training Begins. The episode starts off with Kakashi. Yep, making his first appearance in quite a while. I think the last time prior to last week's episode he appeared was back in the Steam Ninja Scrolls arc. Yeah, that was the last time I could think of he was seen. Yeah, that I could think of. Actually, I think he did show up once prior to this, but last night I can think of. So, yeah, Boruto just happens to run into him because he was suggested to run into him, thanks to a suggestion by Sasuke. How in the world the Kakashi knows Rasengan? Probably because he saw Minto do it. He's never explicitly said that he does know it. Just somehow he knows it. So, yeah, so you make the giant Rasengan, and Kakashi easily points out though that's impossible. And Boruto asks why. Because you don't have Nine-Tailed Fox chakra inside of you. You gotta have that chakra to perform it. So, we gotta strengthen it. So, Boruto shows off his, not exactly strong enough, but he does eventually show he can throw it. And does it appear in Kakashi rumors must be true. He's like, what? A vanishing Rasengan. So that's something combined with lightning style. But it's not exactly strong enough per se. So, you have to combine it with wind style. He does bring up Minto in this episode, his teacher, Naruto's grandfather, father, excuse me. Yeah, it's like they mentioned the fourth Hokage, which that's great, the fact they do. As far as I can tell, this is the first time I can think of that we actually have a character who references the fourth Hokage in this series, because the thing is, if you watch Naruto Shippuden, the fourth Hokage is referenced several times of course series aside from making an actual appearance in the series. But here in Boruto, they did mention him once part of this, but this is the first time we actually get the chance to have Kakashi talk about him, which I think is fantastic. And so, pretty much he uses it, like mentioned, a change of chakra. They don't have. I kind of wish they would have brought this in the episode, because when Naruto first was taught his second move, Rasengan Shuriken, they test out using this chakra paper to test what type of his let's say his chakra nature is. Of course, Naruto was a wind style. Boruto thinks he uses wind style. Of course, he can use Gale Force Palm, which is a move known to be used by the Hyuga clan. The only reason why he knows it because, well, he's kind of a blood relative of the Hyuga clan. Well, he's the leader's grandson, so of course he would basically know the move. So, it takes him a while, but eventually he gets it. And at one point, he looks like it takes him a while to combine it with wind style. Of course, he tries to in the episode. And eventually uses a similar technique that Naruto used to strengthen his Rasengan by making a Shatter Clone, which not a bad idea to do. And then he makes it a little bigger. It's like, and Kashi's is bigger. And I saw like, that's the Rasengan Shuriken. It may have, because I saw it like with a little sword. Yeah, it's a Rasengan Shuriken. It may not have the slight edges on it, but yeah, that looked like the Rasengan Shuriken. Though Boruto calls the wind style Rasengan, even though it's a wind style move, and he uses it to slice off a big portion of the rock he was testing on the episode. Meanwhile, there's a couple other things happen in this episode. One, we have Sadara in this episode, where she is trying to strengthen her Sharingan, and she wants Sasuke, her dad, to teach her Chidori. And he's like, well, your Sharingan has to be a little stronger in order to use that. Basically, it's explained she has the one tier thing. Basically, he wants to make it hers is a bit weak, but he had to basically get the second one in order to start using, well, the Chidori. Now, basically, it has to be unlocked via extreme circumstances, and he does bring up the fact that Dappa used bullets against her, and throughout most of this episode, basically, she's trying to dodge them in order to strengthen her Sharingan. And while she's doing this, they're being watched by Sakura, because of course Sakura would be worried about her only daughter. And there's a couple of really interesting. There's one really interesting brief scene. We have Hinata Himawari, of course, worrying about Boruto. Not worried about Naruto, surprisingly. He's mentioned a couple times in this episode, but he never doesn't make a physical appearance. So they're making Boruto lunch, which okay, cool. And Mora basically says that keep up the good training, big bro, big brother. Yeah, she calls him that in the series. And well, then we also have what Konohamaru and Midigo does, where they go back to Victor's facility, where they give a tour of it. They talk to Victor briefly. They bring up the events what happened 2 episodes back, where they fight. He says, "Yeah, that was self-defense." Really? You attack first. That's from probably from what they're thinking in the episode. And they ask basically about the Hiroshima shell. They know he has it. They're like, we're just studying it, and we found it. We claim it. And Konohamaru easily has his counter argument to the suggestion. That cell came from the body of our first Hokage. We would like it back, please. And he's like, no, show him the door, please. Though they do, even though they say they would escort back to the border, but they actually, snuck back to the facility. My guess is they must use shadow clones, and they can use this time to search the facility under the cover of darkness. I gotta say, really damn good episode. Looking forward to next week, where we're gonna have a joint training mission, and we're gonna have the first ever on-screen interaction between Shikadai and his cousin Shiki, Gaara's adopted son. Yeah, as far as I can tell for these two, I don't think these two have ever had that I can think of an on-screen interaction before. I mean, they're cousins after all, and they've never had on-screen interaction before. Not that I can think of. And it's great, though, the fact that these two are having one, which I think is fantastic. And basically, it's a joint training mission with the Sand Village. This is probably while Boruto and Sadaru are still working to get stronger. So I think that their training is probably going to complete in a couple weeks. I can tell from the next week's 2 weeks, basically, it's training in sand, the new Super Sengon, results of training. Basically, it's only just a few episodes, but it's not going to take too long per se, but I think it's great, though, the fact that we actually have this in the series. I like the fact that Boruto Sengon gets stronger in the series. I kind of wish it was the same size as Konohamaru's, which Konohamaru's is pretty much the same size as Naruto's. Though one thing Kakashi's in the episode, he does the purple lightning, which here's kind of the strange thing comes to purple lightning. I have never seen him actually use purple lightning before, and yet they say originally during the tuning exam in this series, that's Kakashi's move. Which that makes no friggin' sense, because his signature move is Chidori. How the heck did he even do purple lightning? And yet, here in this episode, he shows it off. Which I'm kind of like, okay. Also, they do something sort of a lightning blade, where his hand turns into what basically similar to a medical ninja. Like, when the heck did he know how to do this? Because I do not remember him actually doing this at all in any of the stuff I've watched for Naruto. Yeah. But all in all, great episode, and definitely looking forward to next week's episode. Okay, so that's it for this particular review. Stay tuned for tomorrow for more Naruto. And I'm pretty much getting close to wrapping up the series. I recently finished up episode 198. I have exactly 22 episodes left, so expect to see a few videos of that tomorrow, or I'll hopefully cap off the series and start shipping it soon. Now, in case you're wondering about the series Aria of the Scarlet Ammo, that's one of the ammo I'm going to start up next. That one, I'm basically got one book left to read before I watch the anime, so expect that one soon. And I'm also doing this series. I'm reading this manga right now, Seraph of the End. Yeah, I'm reading this right now, so expect to see talk about the anime reviews for that one sometime maybe either this week or next week to discuss both this series and Aria the Scarlet Bullet. Okay, so until I see you all tomorrow, because I got no more time to do anything this night, for more Naruto. Bye.